They changed it anyways. Now they have these LEDs.
Right.
Yeah.
Leaking.
Yeah. Hey, you can hunt that. I got he's got a mount 308 on it.
Let's give you some benefits. Okay.
Yeah. I showed my caps.
What?
Caps.
Oh, yeah. That shed came down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was waiting till the summer to take
Or between.
That's interesting.
Just read. Just read.
It's okay. No.
How you doing?
Yeah, it's time, right?
Well, yeah, I don't think I'm used to it.
But yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm sort of thinking like-
I don't.
I put a couple out. Stuff them right there. Whatever's left.
People like raise their hands.
Yeah,
Hi. Yes, how are you? Are you going to see me? There's a sign-in sheet on it. Go around to the end of that table. There's a notebook.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
That one.
Like, you watch that.
sorry.
Welcome everyone to the Township Board meeting. I want to acknowledge that we have a quorum.
Does it work? All right, so just want to acknowledge that we have a quorum. And, yeah, so Ray Palmer will be filling in for Carl Bruckner. And Janet Grace will be filling in for Rick. That makes sense.
Kathy, in case Rick shows up, he sometimes remembers.
Oh, yeah. So Janet will be filling in for Catherine Kewell and if Rick shows up. Right, I also want to point out the emergency exits for everyone. There's through the assessor's office, out the front door, through that corner over there. Also, the exit over in that corner as well. So that's all rise for the pledge.
States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, the motion to open. Debbie,
Second. All in favor? Aye, unanimous. Okay, so before we open the public comment, I want to make clear that the public comment period is for anything other than what we'll be going over in the public hearing, which will be right after this. So if you're here about the Woodstock Event Conservancy, hold your comment until the public hearing. If you have public comments about anything else related to the planning board, now is your time. I will read the guidelines for the public comment periods. I'm going to read this in an abbreviated form. Anyone who wishes to speak during the comment period or hearing should sign in. There's the sign in sheet over there, and provide the required information to be called. You want to wait till you're called. You want to introduce yourself before making your comments. Clearly identify yourself, where you reside for the record. If you're speaking for an organization, identify that organization. Please speak clearly. Please speak into the microphone, which will be that one over there in the front near the flag. We want to make sure the planning board can hear your comments, obviously. Time limits, everyone will be given an initial 2 minutes to speak. If time allows, you may be given an additional 2 minutes. However, transferring of time from one speaker to another is not permitted. Everyone who signs up to speak will be given the opportunity to speak at least once tonight. Please be courteous to your fellow citizens, members of the planning board, the applicant, and its representatives. All comments should be addressed to us, the planning board, not to somebody else. There'll be no debate or answering of questions raised by speakers as part of the hearing. Please do not interrupt speakers or engage in personal attacks, bullying, or catcalling. Discourteous behavior will not be tolerated and could result in expulsion from the hearing. Please avoid repetition. If the previous speaker has already offered the same comment as you have, when your turn is called, you can tell the planning board members that you agree with the comment from the previous speaker without repeating the comment in its full detail. This will keep the hearing moving so that all speakers will be able to give their comments before the evening is late. And if you have any copies of what you want to speak about, please either submit those tonight or you can email those to the email address planning@townofperley.org. Thank you. Anybody want to speak about anything other than the Woodstock LLC? Okay. Motion to close.
Motion closed.
Ray and Mitchell. All in favor? Aye. Okay, motion to open the public hearing.
Motion.
Ray, Mitchell, seconded. All in favor? Aye. Public hearing is now open. Okay, this is regarding Woodstock Land Conservancy. And the location is the intersection of Basic Road and Route 21A. And the use for our zoning enforcement officer is for nature trails, recreation, stuff with the application of the parking lot. Should even seek classification.
The classified as unlisted action, we'll be able to work with seeker, after
After the hearing.
the hearing.
All right.
And what I would suggest is the applicant would like to just give a little summary, just
Yes.
for those in attendance.
And Melissa, there's a pointer on the end of the table there for you to be able to write the mark. And this is your most recent poll. The one,
Right.
okay?
Yep.
Just so you know.
You want the pointers?
Not yet. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna introduce myself. I'm gonna give you a couple of minutes. Is it on? Is it not?
not very loud.
Hello?
Let me tell you that.
It is on or it's not on?
It's
sounds like
on.
a few minutes before.
I turned it down so it didn't feedback.
Okay, hello?
Yep.
Okay, now it seems good, right?
Got it?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
All right, so I'm gonna give you a quick introduction, so I'll try and keep it to a couple minutes also. So my name is Melissa Peterson and I'm with the Woodstock Land Conservancy. I'm the land acquisitions and stewardship manager. The Woodstock Land Conservancy has been protecting area or lands in this area. I'm realizing that I should move over here some more. So sorry. Since about 1988, and we preserve about 1,000 acres in the area. We preserve land in the towns of Woodstock, Ulster, Saugerties, and Hurley. The project that we're here to talk about tonight is a project for the Martin Preserve. It is a 1 mile hiking trail, and it is does include trailhead parking as well. The 1 mile parking or the 1 mile trail will be sort of a wooded trail. And then there will be a spur trail that will go into a railroad cut that is historically significant. And there will be an interpretive panel that will discuss sort of the historical significance of that area. The parking area will include a kiosk, and in that informational kiosk, there will be a trail map and there will be trail rules and preserve rules correctly, which will include sort of things such as open from dawn to dusk, what the appropriate trail use would be, that there would be no overnight camping, there would be no overnight fires and things such as that. And then sort of lastly, I would say that as an organization, we've been around for a long time and we've been doing this sort of thing for a long time. So we have a pretty good idea of how to safely manage public trails and public preserves. This one is a small preserve with a relatively short trail. We anticipate light use of this trail. We would anticipate that it will mostly be used, and this is from experience, with similar types of public preserves. We would anticipate that the main use is going to be from local residents, people that live sort of close in the area and will sort of jump on it, take a little walk and then jump off. We would guess most people might be on the trail for 35 to 45 minutes and then leave. So it will be a relatively quick turnover, we would guess. And really, I think that that's all I would say at this point to introduce the project to everybody. But thank you everybody for coming out and helping us sort of work through this process. We appreciate the planning board's time and we look forward to hearing what people have to say. So thank you very much.
Thank you. So, next would be comments from the public.
If there's a sign.
Sign sheet is there.
Okay, I will go in order of how they were written, and if I mispronounce your name,
Remember, start at this time. Nobody wrote there.
nobody wrote it. And if I mispronounce your name, I apologize ahead of time. When I call your name, please walk to the mic and speak, and everybody will have approximately 2 minutes, and I mean, that's not an exact, it's not like you're gonna.
Okay.
So, Andy Mosey, Anderson Road. Okay,
We'll come back.
we'll come back to him. Patty Goodwin, 8 Otis Road.
Hi, I'm Patty Goodwin. I'm a Hurley resident living in Glenford, and I'm the president of the board of the Woodstock Land Conservancy. I feel fortunate that I live so close to the Ashokan Rail Trail. but sometimes you just want to go for a peaceful, quiet walk in the woods. With the proposed Martin Preserve, the Land Conservancy hopes to let Hurley residents do that. WLC is a small local land trust funded mostly by support from our community, mainly small donations and some grants. WLC has been around for 40 years. Some of our board members have been serving since the very beginning. It's a long time. They're old. We have 10 preserves and 4 of them are open to the public. So we do have a pretty good idea of how preserves are used. The Martin Preserve will be almost like a pocket park. It's got some beautiful bluestone outcroppings, an old railroad cut, and we'll be building a 1-mile trail loop. Experience tells us that it'll be mainly used by local visitors with their kids or walking the dog or doing a quick trail run. The average length of visit will be about 30 to 45 minutes. If the parking lot is full, which would be very unlikely in our experience, there are a couple alternative trails literally within a 5-minute drive. George Martin donated this piece of property to the Land Conservancy because he really wanted local people to be able to enjoy it and to get a sense of its history.
This one, let me, your time is almost up.
Okay, 2 more sentences. We were lucky to get a grant and pull together some funds from local supporters to do the necessary improvements. I think personally that it'll be a beautiful benefit for families in Hurley, and I hope that you will allow us to make it happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, then we go back to.
Is Andy Mosey's back?
Yes.
All right, the speakers, the microphone is yours.
Thanks very much. So my name is Andy Mossy. I'm the executive director at the Woodstock Land Conservancy. I also live in Olive Bridge, so right around the corner. Sometimes I drive past this preserve on my way to work. So WLC as an organization is a nonprofit entity. We've been operating as a nonprofit since the late 80s. And because we are a nonprofit, our primary mission is what drives us as an entity and as a group. So we're very focused on land preservation, conservation, but also making sure that people have access to the outdoors. And so this preserve falls right into all those categories. We're really excited about this. This property was donated to us by the previous landowner, and it was always the intention to turn this into a public park to make sure that everyone could enjoy it and it wouldn't remain just a piece of property in someone's backyard, that it really become a public good, if you will. So we're really excited about this because we did secure the funding. We secured a grant through the state of New York to fund the creation of trails here, as well as the parking area that you see on the map. The total project budget is $84,000, of which $14,500 is coming from Woodstock Land Conservancy. As a nonprofit, we very much operate in the space of grants, applying for these, which are very stringent, and then making sure that we uphold the reporting requirements associated with them. Changing the project significantly in one way or the other has a direct impact on the budget that we have been able to put together. So it becomes a tricky situation, but we were very successful in getting this grant. And so we're excited about this project because we see a very clear path forward. So we're not asking for any money from the town of Hurley, but we are excited to be able to offer this as a public good to you all and the citizens, as well as the greater public at large. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Next is Megan Gitt. Sorry.
Hi, so I appreciate what's wanting to be done here with this trail, but I have to admit I'm slightly
Excuse me, where do you live?
I live on 229 Basin Road across the street from where this is going to be built. So I'm slightly heartbroken over it because the beauty of that area, living in it, is because it is completely pristine.
and there aren't any public spaces around. So I have obvious concerns living across the street from where this parking lot's going to be built. Sound and activity, potential traffic, the visual parking lot itself, garbage. I personally walk Basin Road and I walk Basin to Dyke Road, and I always take a garbage bag to pick up the garbage along the way just because I don't want to see it. So I have a little bit of concerns about that. Privacy, like what keeps people on the trail and not going off into other parts of the land, which is an eye shot of our house, which brings me to my next point, which is safety. I know Dave has had his cars broken into. So I'm just sensitive about it because it is in such close proximity of where we live. And what I love most about our place is that it's pristine. So I'm just going to be honest, I'm a little heartbroken. And I appreciate being able to voice the concerns. So thank you.
Can I ask you a question? So is your property there the one, does your property, come to the corner of Basin Road and 28A?
Yeah.
Almost. So that corner there, when you're driving by, there's like a little shed or something right at the corners right there? Okay. Okay. Fine.
It's the White House.
Okay. I know I looked it up, but I wasn't sure if that was your property there. Because it's kind of an eyesore right there. There's that little, it's like a stairway coming down.
Yeah.
And then some sort of dilapidated shed or something right at the corner.
They're changing the utility poles to the other side of the road, so that's all going to be cleared up of stairs and that kind of stuff, so.
But that's not yours.
That's not-
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
The next person is Ralph Durham at 94 Ridge Drive.
Good evening. My name is Ralph Durham, and I am a member of the Hurley Rail Trail, a member of the Conservation Advisory Committee of Hurley, and a member of the O&W Rail Trail Advisory Committee. I just wanted to say that I fully support the WLC in its efforts to continue with the connectivity of trails in our area. Thank you.
Thanks.
Dave Leonard, 458 Route 28A, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, Dave. I have the property. I didn't get it from George. George had it and I bought it. I got a short sale from the previous owner. But I'd walked the property many times with George, and I spent 17 years now I've had it, but I would say one of the things he said is I always want this trail to be used and have it be a park. So I've probably spent thousands of dollars, 10, 20, 30 yards of someone who's trying to do my part to manually keep the trail going over the years, but it's been hard. So in a way, I've been very excited to have someone actually do it instead of me. I have not thought about the parking issue. And I guess the biggest concern, it's a beautiful piece of property and it's a beautiful trail. I guess my biggest concern, and when I've met with people from Conservancy, they've done their best to appease me, where I just don't want people walking onto my yard, walking to my property. My whole property it backs up to the reservoir. It backs over to the new Land Conservancy property on both sides. So that's been my biggest concern. And I think it's a beautiful trail, and I'd love, I've been doing my part to share what I can with it while it's mine. And now that it's Conservancy's, I'm all for supporting that. I just want to make sure that, hey, my voice is heard, voices around here are heard, and that we do the best to offer it up, but also be respectful of my property and the neighbor's property and the consequences and logistics that are involved. But it's a pretty great piece of property. Thanks.
Thank you.
Next is Tracy Kellogg, 215 Shady Lane.
So I think probably, although most people haven't voiced it, my biggest concern is the access point. I happen to live directly, Maggie, if you were on the map, scroll it up. Wrong direction. My property is this whole section. So in reality, I'm not gonna be necessarily impacted by the people that are using the trails, but I am gonna, I believe, be severely impacted by the access road. Because I will tell you that at least once a week, if not more, there's usually a close call between myself and somebody pulling out of Dyke Road. So the intersection above that directly is fairly dangerous, and the lack of visibility. So I'm not sure, have you obtained your DOT curb cuts?
We're gonna,
So, okay, so I'm concerned about the DOT curb cut, the potential visibility, and the impact of having cars coming out on the slope and in that area. Additionally, I want to make sure that, because my property has been marked, I think, just in terms of the road, 28A, you've also marked some of the boundaries of 28A. I don't think that you're impacting me, but I am concerned that people stay there and don't stroll onto my property, Chestnut Trails. Thank you.
thank you.
Next is Thomas Howard, 27 Knowles Court.
Hi, my name's Tom Howard. It's too low. Okay, I hope that's better. I'm Tom Howard. I am a member of the Woodstock Land Conservancy Board of Directors, and I'm also a resident of Hurley. I've been on the board for, I think it's 5 years now, and during that time, I have hiked, walked through, visited every single one of the public use properties that we have. I have never been turned away by overcrowding from not any one of them. And at least 2 of them have parking areas that are comparable to what has been proposed by the board or by the Land Conservancy. As I understand it, that's the issue that's here today, is the parking. And whether what's been proposed, which would allow 4 vehicles to park at a time, should be larger or not. And the position of the Land Conservancy is it is not necessary at this time. And the reason is this is a small area. It is a beautiful area, but it is small. It's not at all going to be comparable to the Doug Hill Park. The Doug Hill Park has recreation facilities for organized events or for casual events. This is not that. This is a nature preserve. The purpose of it is for people who are looking to take a walk in the woods, as we all like to enjoy sometimes when it's time to get away. So I ask that the planning board approve the application as presented. Thanks.
Thank you.
Next is Kevin Smith, 26 Pinewood Road.
Good evening. I'm not a resident of Hurley. I'm a resident of Bearsville, town of Woodstock. I'm the board chair of the Land Conservancy. I've served on the board for, I think, a quarter century now, so I'm probably one of the old guys that Patty's referring to. I haven't been around since the very beginning, but since I've been board chair or a member of the board and served in different positions, it has been in the same period of time where the Conservancy began to open our preserves to the public, and it was not something that we took lightly at all. We're very careful when we begin the planning for these projects. We're very careful and have to be. We're an accredited land trust with the Land Trust Alliance. We just received our renewal of our accreditation. These are very rigorous standards and practices that we commit to adhere to. And we are very careful and work very deliberately when we make the kinds of decisions that you see the results of here in the site plan and in our preserve plans for this property. We absolutely care what the neighbors, about the neighbors' concerns. That's super important to us. In our experience, the neighbors are the ones who serve oftentimes as our most frequent visitors to our preserves. And they also serve as our eyes and ears in many cases. And sometimes they even volunteer as stewards. and really help to do what Dave has been doing informally for these decades now. We're just super excited. We hope that this is something that's value added for the town of Hurley and for the community. And we are committed. We're going to be here. There will be somebody for you to call if there's an issue. You have our phone number, you know where we are. And we're absolutely committed to making sure that this works for the community and works for the public. Thank you.
Thank you.
Last is William
Wall.
Wall or Walt?
Wall, W-A-L-L.
Okay. 72 Pleasant Ridge Drive.
Good evening, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk with you on behalf of Woodstock Land Conservancy. My wife and I bought our house in 1999 in West Hurley on 72 Pleasant Ridge Drive. And to say that the Woodstock Land Conservancy has been a lifesaver is an understatement for us. We gauge our whole lives around disconnecting, getting away from stressors, social media, things like that, and being out there and enjoying what Catskills and what this area has to offer for us. I was a teacher at Ontario High School for the last 17 years. I'm just recently retired. So I'm enjoying life a little bit more now, and I'm getting out more recreationally and exceptionally enjoying the trails. But as an associate with the art across, or with the Ashoka Rail Trail across the street from our house, I was able to commute to work on a regular basis, which was a beautiful thing. It also encouraged me to get involved and be a steward while I was there at the same time, which I will continue to do now in my retirement, even more so, wherever need be. Because I appreciate it that much, that disconnection time of being out there in our community for us. And when I have family members come to visit from out of town, whether it be in the city or from the other side of the state where I'm from the Rochester area, they always want to get out and hit the trails, and they want to see those trails, and they want to enjoy those trails. Everything in our family seems to be based on what we can do to go out and enjoy and encourage others to be part of that system. So WLC.
Thank you. Is there anybody who wanted to talk that did not sign up? Go ahead.
Yeah, just.
And your name and address? Fred Benbos, 229 Basin Road.
Can you spell your last name?
D-I-N-D-E-B-U-N-T.
Thank you.
Can we lower this a little bit?
Sure. Oh, you need that. Great.
Towards, yeah, okay.
There.
So our house is there, and our bedroom is here. And I have a little bit of problem, maybe if they go into the dark with high beams that they shine into my bedroom. That's the only problem I had with it. For the rest, everything I'm very fine with it. So that was my only concern, high beams into the bedroom from us.
Thank you. I think the answer is it closes at dusk. So,
you know, kids.
Yeah, well, right.
We all been there.
Yeah. Anyone else?
And that's all that's signed up.
Okay. Did you, oh, yeah. Let's close it. I had a couple of
Well,
questions.
I want to ask, just because, there have been concerns raised, from some of the neighbors, is there anything that the board has questions on? Would you like to close it, or would you like to keep it open to perhaps, see if the land conservancy can address some of those concerns, or do you think you have enough information that you can close it?
I understand the process. We would still be able to ask questions and not be closed to public.
Yes, yes. I was saying that if you, after hearing the concerns, if you wanted to have any changes made, perhaps fencing or something to help with the trespassing, it would be best to keep the public hearing open in case there are changes to be made. If there aren't changes to be made, or if you don't have any concerns, you could close it. I just wanted to just give you that option.
Is there a consensus to close or to keep open?
How big is the parking lot in terms of cars? How many cars does it hold?
There are 4 total with one accessory, handicapped accessory.
One of those 4 is accessory.
Yes, 4 total with one, so 3 regular spaces, 1 handicapped accessory.
And what keeps them on the trail? Is it just the kiosk that says this is the trail?
There are the trail markers, I believe.
Well, do you wanna, with the applicant like to address?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
the
Sorry, Melissa, would you mind just walking to
Melissa,
the?
talk to the board and also, while you're at it, you can also answer the question about the curb cuts and the question about the headlights.
All right, so, okay, so the first question, can I repeat your question?
Yep, Melissa,
Oh,
to the board.
Okay.
No,
so
but you
can
want to
she
hear the
repeat-
question again.
This was the first one that I was supposed to address,
so what
correct?
keeps them on the trail and
Yeah,
not going
okay.
off and meandering beyond
Yeah.
the trail?
Okay, thank you. All right, so the trail will be marked the entire way with little indicators that show where the footpath is. We follow industry standards in that such that you can always see a trail in front of you and behind you, so you're not losing your way on the trail. And they're high enough so that they're gonna be seen if there's snow on the ground and, et cetera. So we will also provide a trail map, and we will be encouraging people to stay on the trail.
And the benching and hardening of surfaces in a lot of locations makes it very obvious of where that trail is going to be.
Yeah, so yeah.
Rose didn't hear
So
it. Did you repeat what he said?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he said the hardening of the trail, benching in areas where there will be benching, which would be just the area where we're going sort of up a steep slope. So that will be a benched trail. Those areas will be very obvious that, where the trail is. So it's not sort of a small footpath that would be easily lost. You would be able to see the actual trail at all times, even if you weren't sort of looking up to follow trail markers.
And then
Okay.
the question about curb cuts and a question about headlights.
Okay, and so the curb cut question is, so this site plan does comply as a minor commercial driveway on a 35-mile-an-hour roadway. So this has been all gone over. We designed this with the DEP guiding us on what the requirements were as far as sight line, curb cut, and all other requirements. So it is in compliance with New York State DOT.
And then as far as headlights,
And so headlights, it is open dawn to dusk. And what I would say to that is that we really try to keep people, and I'm trying to remember to address the planning board.
yes.
But yes, so, and the public, our information is going to be on that kiosk. We are right down the road. We really strive to be good neighbors, and we strive to be responsive to concerns as concerns come up. So we will deal with things, prior to, but also we really want to be responsive as new issues that maybe we don't anticipate come up, and neighbors can reach out to us, and we will step in and try and solve problems as best we can.
Is it considered trespassing if somebody stays beyond us?
If somebody goes off of the trail,
No, if somebody stays,
After dusk.
if it's after dusk and somebody parked in there and is having a party, would that be considered trespassing?
I don't think it would be considered trespassing, but it would be against the rules and the cops could be called.
I have a question from this.
Oh, please, yes.
Okay. Are you doing anything to mitigate the parking lot view from the street with any kind of natural native, or birch berm or something, so you don't see it?
So this is really quite vegetated. That whole area. So I don't really think the parking area itself is not going to be all that visible. The entrance is going to be quite visible because it was required to be a minor commercial driveway on a 35-mile-an-hour. So it has quite a flare. It will have quite a flare. So the entryway, yes. But the entryway is going to sort of come in and then bend over to where the main body of the parking lot is. And because there's about 50 feet of sort of low shrubbery vegetation the parking area itself is going to be somewhat obscured. So that is sort of showing the area, yeah, where the entrance is.
Want to use the point?
So I will, yeah.
Or somebody use it while you're,
See.
just hold it down.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah. So we've got sort of two stakes that it's gonna, it's gonna flare out on either side as well. So it's not gonna be quite as narrow as that because it's gotta come out. But cars will come in and then bend around. And the main body of the parking area is gonna be over here. It's gonna sort of come from the side all the way over that way.
Are you moving those big boulders, those big?
Oh, no, those are beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, we really like that feature and we will keep that. And this is a photo of the railroad cut area that we will have an interpreted panel at the opening to that. The railroad cut will, well, not the railroad cut. The railroad cut will stay right where it is. The trail will go into the railroad cut maybe 2/3 of the way, but then we're going to have some boulders and we're going to have a sign that says end of trail and we're going to turn people around. So this section is going to be an in and out. This is not going to be part of the loop. This is really just, this is sort of the more historically significant and interesting section of the trail for people to visit.
Can you get some? Another question, part two of my parking. Can you do something in your construction documents, if and when this goes ahead, to make sure the area in front of the parking that's naturally vegetated is preserved, so no trucks park on it or ruin what's there, or?
Yeah, so that is the plan, and actually that's important for a few different reasons. One, because it does create that visual barrier, and I think that will be appreciated by all. But also, we do not want anybody parking in that area. We don't want anybody parking anywhere near the electric pole there because that is an important, it's a Viper pole, Central Hudson. I've already met out there a couple of times with them and they have requested specifically that we do not remove any vegetation or anything around that area because they want to ensure that it's never used for parking so that they have access to that pole anytime that they need to they need that emergency access there. So we have no intention, nor would we ever, of sort of removing vegetation in that area, because if we did, then it would suddenly look like a nice place to park.
Maybe you can give Fred a chain, you can go put up every night at dusk.
Yeah. I'm gonna go through all the pictures, Melissa. You want to just kind of say what they are?
Can I just ask one question too? So you mentioned the loop a few times, like I know we have the cut. Where's the loop place take part? Like up in the other, go up the road, sort of?
Yeah,
Or
so
back, is
if, okay, so we might.
Want to do the pictures first and then we'll go back to the, and
photos
then we'll go
and
back to the map.
Yeah. Okay, so this won't be part of the trail. This was taken by somebody else.
Me.
Okay, yeah, so this is the top of the old railroad bed. But this is, looking to, that's
I
looking
think that's
east.
28A on the.
Yeah,
Right.
that's looking east, correct? It's looking towards 28A and Basin Road. It's sort of looking towards that intersection, the three-way intersection right there. So anyway, that is the top of the old railroad bed, but that will not be actually part of any of our trail network. So this is looking at the trail, or I'm sorry, this will sort of all be parking in here, this area. And then once you park, there will be maybe a kiosk sort of right here, and then the trail would go up here and over, and the railroad cut is sort of in there. And then it would also start to go up a bench cut. There's sort of a steep hillside on that side, and that would lead towards the 1 mile loop trail into the woods. All right, so this is that beautiful rock outcropping. Parking lot goes this way.
So are there, obviously, like the dead trees are going to be removed?
Yes.
Are there trees that are going to be cut down?
There will, and I believe that I counted 21 living trees only, and I don't have the numbers right in front of me, so I'm not gonna remember exactly. But, so about 21 trees was what I gave you guys documentation of that. 2 of them, I believe, were over 10 centimeters. So we had 2 that were pretty decent sized trees, and everything else is actually quite sort of small, more in the 2 to 6 inch diameter at DBH, diameter of crest height. So only a couple of larger trees, mostly smaller trees, and then some dead trees as well that would be required to be removed just for the parking area. Okay, this I believe is just at the edge of the parking area, and that would be sort of standing in the parking area looking south, but there is a intermittent flow path that sort of goes down through here where water runs in heavy rain events. And so again, rock outcropping parking area in here.
And I think that's it.
So we can pick the map up.
Yep.
And so there is, if you zoom,
That out.
yeah, really zoom out.
There it is.
Yeah. So this is sort of a snippet of what the proposed, this isn't the easiest, but yes. So parking area right there, going into the railroad cut. So that's the in and out spur trail. We're going to go up the hillside here, bench cut. And then this is sort of the mile loop trail.
Okay. I just have a comment to make. I've been hiking for 7 years in this area in many different area towns, including Hurley and Woodstock. And I've only once found a full parking lot, and that was at Falling Waters in Saugerties. All right, any other questions from the board?
May I ask a question? You had said that you have like a way of, like if a neighbor had a concern, to contact you, would you go into detail? Like, is it a 24-hour, is someone available 24 hours? Do they get back to you within a certain amount of time? You might not have like an official thing, but how have you handled it in the past? If there's that problem.
So people could, yeah, so we don't really have a 24-hour system for responding. Although what we would be going to our main phone line, which we receive voicemail messages through our email at any time. So in effect, we could in fact be contacted that way. That would be the phone number that would be provided. Sort of this one info, this main general. Are you coming up to help address as well?
Yeah.
All right, excellent. Yeah, go ahead.
So we don't typically run into issues on night times or even weekends. Every once in a while we'll see an issue. But it's normally people just saying, oh, hey, there's a tree down on this trail, just so you're aware, so that we can go out and manage it or have one of our volunteers take care of it. So it's not very normal to run into that issue. However, if people do have a problem, they can call our number, 845-679-6481. You can call anytime. No one's going to answer it right off the bat, but several of us in the office get immediate notifications when someone calls that. We get the voicemail and then we send it off to whichever staff member should respond to that inquiry. So that's typically how we handle it.
And if it's something going on at night that's not, if there's a violation of rules, call the police. So
Sure. Certainly call the police just like you would at the Ashokan Rail Trail, any DEC trailhead parking area. This is an example similar to those trailheads that at some point it becomes beyond our capacity simply due to the nature of it. Especially any illegal activity, please call the authorities first, and then please do let us know if you can. Because obviously we want to make sure that we're as best of a neighbor as we possibly can.
And how often do you, check in on the parking lots? Like, I know we had talked about a gate, so you guys don't usually put a gate on, but like the gentleman who had a question about the headlights, like, would you guys go check it, make sure the parking lot was relatively empty by dusk, or do you guys
On
drive
occasion.
by, or?
On occasion, we do. I would say that I get to every preserve once a week. I have, there are 2 people that are stewardship staff. We are regular visitors at least once a week, but additionally, we use, volunteer trail stewards. And so all of our preserves have multiple volunteer trail stewards who are our main source of information on the trails. So they are the frequent visitors. Those are on a schedule, coming, we've got multiple people coming every single week, and they're giving us feedback all of the time. But again, most of the feedback that we're receiving is, there was a tree down here, or, and those people are also, one of their responsibilities is to pick up garbage. So if there happens to be, I would also say that that's a pretty rare thing. It's actually really rare that we see garbage. We see garbage occasionally, like right after a holiday weekend, 4th of July, when there are suddenly, more people than usual. I've had that experience, but most of the time we're not dealing with any of these sort of garbage or littering in any way, nuisance sort of loitering, or those are just not our norm.
One question about the loop. So I see how that comes. I didn't realize that was there before, how it comes so close to my property line, and I have my own trails back there. Is there, any barrier between, because I know when I'm walking around, any physical barrier between your trail and let's say mine, which could be 20 feet over?
We're not using any of your trails.
No, I know. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, but would stuff like jump over, like walk over? Because that looks pretty cool. But I'm just curious. I hadn't seen it get that close to the property line.
So it should be noted, I'm not sure that we've really stated it in this forum, but we are using a professional trail builder for most of our trail work on this. And the layout that you see before you, actually, Melissa worked very closely with the owner, Tahawash Trails. They are actually like the gold standard of trail building in the state of New York. DEC uses them, a bunch of other agencies use them. They do beautiful work. We're really excited to work with them. And they actually help Melissa the design part of this trail, and so that anytime you're on this trail, you're not seeing your house,
right?
You're not seeing any of your other infrastructure on your property. And so what this creates is anytime you're on that, any sight line that you have is just open and clear woods. And that's really our primary goal, is to create a very clear delineation. And that way.
I just wanted to ask you something. I noticed the Thorn Preserve, I guess they were having some problems with people guarding over the property line. And so they put all these signs along the property line saying, please help us to be good neighbors, do not cross. Are you willing to do something like that?
Yeah, so we do that at other preserves, where there's a social trail that goes off in one direction, and we do, I can think of where I've made signs exactly like that, where we're saying, beyond this, you are now leaving Woodstock Land Conservancy Preserve. This is public property beyond this point. It's really the neighbor, we can't post a neighbor's property, trespassing.
Right.
They can do that. We can't do that, but I can notify, and we do, to let people know that if they go this direction, and typically we also do things like throwing a whole lot of sticks down to trying to deter people and prevent them from going on a direction, but that's typically a case where there has been like a long existing social trail.
Right.
And they're trying to jump onto it.
Like a river that people want to go swimming.
Yeah.
And one additional point to that, you bring up Thorn Preserve. Most of those issues are actually issues with dogs running onto other people's property and interacting with dogs that is an adjacent landowner. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of conflict in that way.
Yeah.
In this
pets allowed on this trail?
On leash. But in this particular instance, it's not like that. There's a bit of a cultural thing with dogs at Thorn Preserve being off leash and running around this big field and everything. That's certainly not permitted here. This is close woods, so a much different environment.
Not a lot of opportunities for socialization either.
Does the board have any more comments or questions? You can make a motion to close the public hearing, or you can do it, whatever you would like to do.
What's the consensus? Continue or close?
Close.
So who would like to make that motion? Mitchell, seconded by Debbie. All in favor?
Debbie beat me to it.
Yeah, just too fast. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, everyone.
Dennis.
Thank you.
Well, first it is.
Hold on, I just have my own. I felt a lot.
So anybody who's leaving or talking, if you can just take it out. Please, next room. Thank you.
Well, you know where the trail leads the,
Are we ready to continue now?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So next item is secret classification.
Well, so it was classified as an unlisted action. So we have, Maggie has prepared an EAF part 2. So with an unlisted action, you have to go to the EAF part 2. It's about 11 or 12 questions that just go through and. So, so it will go through the checklist to determine if the impact presented is no or small impact, or if it's a large or big. So Maggie, would you like to,
I
that?
will. I will. Sorry.
So this is a document that is prepared from, that Maggie had done, but of course it is the planning board discretion. So I would just suggest that the board just go through each question, just confirm if they agree if it's no or small, or if they believe it's moderate or large.
Will the proposed action create a material conflict with the adopted land use plan or zoning regulation?
No.
Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of the use of land?
It's not usually making now, but it's open.
Well, that's why it's not, yeah, no or small impact.
Oh, small
Okay.
impact.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they
Right.
changed it, they should have made a third column, no, or small, like they do, so.
Yeah. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
It's fine, let's go on.
No, smaller.
Do you want me to just read them and then only if you object to the no?
Yes.
Okay. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics of the cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? Will the proposed action result in an increase, an adverse existing, sorry, I'll move it too fast, in the existing level of traffic or affecting existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation and renewable energy opportunities? Will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies, public-private wastewater treatment utilities? Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, that is wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna? Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? That's it. Oh, I thought it was 20.
No,
Yeah.
No, the whole has more.
So, does the board agree, no or small?
No or small. Yes.
So, Maggie has also drafted, in anticipation of this, a part 3. Have you all seen it?
Yes.
Circulated last week. Was this posted on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just had a few, I think I just had a few comments, Maggie.
Yeah, and
I'll
I
just-
left them
Okay.
as
yeah.
comments
Yeah.
so that the board could see
The one thing I
based
did,
on from what they, sorry, it went to the comment.
so one thing I did change, it originally had been proposed for up to 5 parking areas, that was changed to 4, so I just reflected that change. And I think I just made a comment, just kind of provided a little bit more detail about the parking area, but, you know, the board had kind of discussed whether the number of spaces was sufficient. You had discussed at the last meeting that you thought, given that it's only a mile trail, there's not really any particular scenic point like a waterfall or pond or anything. You did think that it likely would overflow. So I had just said, members of the planning board conducted a site visit and reviewed the proposed location of the parking area. Although discussions were had as to whether more space should be considered, there are constraints, including existing utility poles and topography, that would make it difficult to expand the parking lot to include more spaces. Given the nature of the trail, 1 mile loop, the planning board does not feel that more space would be required as we, well, I said we just, as we feel that the trailhead likely will generate more traffic than that. Planning board discussed signage options with the applicant to prevent cars from parking along the road. In the event the parking lot becomes full, the applicant would put up preventative signage such as the lot is full, come back later, or visit one of our other trail sites to avoid cars parking along them.
That's good.
And if the board has any comments or questions on the EAF part 2, part 3, if not, then you can take a, vote. I would do a motion to accept the, EAF part 3 with the,
As amended.
yeah, as amended.
Second motion to accept the.
Rachel, seconded by Dennis. All in favor? We let him have it this time.
Yeah.
So that's EAF part 3, right?
Yeah.
It's the highlight of my day.
Okay, and the next move is
The next move, if the, planning board feels that they have sufficient information, they, you know, as I said earlier, you have received some comments from the public, some in favor, some with concerns. We have drafted a proposed resolution. It can be read tonight, or if you would like some time to think about it from the public hearing, you can certainly consider it at January's meeting. You do have 62 days from the close of the public hearing to issue a decision, so it would still be timely. And then, of course, if you want, we can adjust the resolution here. And if you have any concerns, you know, we can make those changes here, whatever, any option is fine.
Yes,
So
Mr.
I just wanted to have some input at this point, only because, I moved here to Hurley in 2015, I retired, and, when I moved here, we were, my wife and I were very fortunate enough that there was nothing, it was all natural, but then New York State decided to build a rail trail all over the state of New York. And I don't know how much they spent, but it was spent for millions of patrons, citizens of the state of New York and whoever else that wants to go on the rail trail. So I don't know where all the rail trails are, and I know you said there's a place on Dug Hill Road that you have from the from the WLC.
No, you're referring to the town of Hurley.
Okay, so now, but how far are other, of the WLC's private walkabouts close to the rail trail? Because this is only like a quarter mile away, not even from the rail trail. You can just get on there.
I think it's a little more than that.
Yeah. It's right down the road, right?
2 miles.
But it's different than the rail trail.
Right.
It's like walking in nature.
Okay, so
It's not far
when
from
we had the
Reservoir. yet.
pandemic, there was an influx of people from New York City that came up here. Okay. That, what I'm gonna say is the truth. I started to use the rail trail because I wanted to get out and get the fresh air. You couldn't get a parking place there. So people were parking in the place where Immune China used to be, their factory. They would park there and walk to the rail trail, okay? So what I'm getting at is if, there's only 4 places there. If the rail trail gets filled, people know about this. You're gonna have traffic come down Basin Road looking, going, you know what, we can walk over here. So all I'm saying is New York City folks are great at double parking. And when they decide to park on Basin Road and somebody gets killed from the tractor trailers that are using that road, because they do frequently, I just think that you should have something in place that, okay, if a car is parked on the side of the road, something has to happen. And that's it. I don't mean, I'm all in favor of this great walking place, but it's also a safety issue. It really is. I've taken that turn and I've seen cars all of a sudden, poof, they come around the turn like 50 miles an hour. And that's fast for a turn, but it's a big turn. So you can take it that fast. But if you have a tractor trailer that has to avoid a car that's double parked and he swings out going towards 28A and you get a car coming around the bend, that could potentially create a head-on collision. So I'm just saying that, I'm not saying that DOT is not in favor of giving you the cut, but there should be something in place that, written on the plat plan that no cars will be parking here, or this needs to happen.
Well, go ahead.
I did, I have reviewed the proposed resolution, and I did include, because I do remember that was a topic of discussion at the last board meeting. So I did include a condition that would say, no trail parking is permitted on Basin Road or Route 28A. I said the applicant shall inspect the parking lot area periodically to verify that there's sufficient parking space for those accessing the trail. And then I talked about the signage. And then I had here too, again, this is for the board's consideration, because I had added it today, but the public parks on Basin Road or Route 28A to access the trail system and parking lot shall be closed and operation cease. That was one of the discussions the planning board discussed last month.
That's what the Conservancy
Suggested, and I think you had seemed to, I think Peter might have suggested it in the board, the Conservancy. The applicant may come back to the planning board for an expansion of the parking lot or additional parking lots. If an enlargement is needed, such enlargement or amendment will be subject to site. So it's not a perfect solution, because as you said, Mitch, it certainly is a possibility that it could happen. The problem is that it's hard to get into enforcement as to if there is a car parked along the road. It's kind of, it would be the highway department that would have to handle it, and I don't, there's not really a way of.
All the sheriff.
Yeah, but again, it's kind of, it's like outside the planning board's jurisdiction, with the exception that the planning board can determine if 4 spots is enough, or if the parking location is in the right spot. That is where the planning board can do it. And, I will say, 4 spots is well, but as, you know, the applicant said, it's also, it's a 1 mile loop, probably less than an hour there. So anyway, those are some of the things that the planning board can consider, you know.
And if the board saw when I did the draft, so when I do a draft, I try to pull in everything that you've said along. I did put a condition that, because this was such a big discussion, that the applicant put on their property along either side of the entrance, no parking along the public road. So there would be something to tell people that's not allowed.
Like
So-
they wouldn't know to begin with.
Right, well,
Well,
exactly.
You'd have to
But-
go to DOT to
Well,
put
but if
signs
they-
along the road,
but if they put it
which
on
is
their,
doable.
what I did is, what I said, and that's possible, I guess, too, but as an immediate that they have control over would be if, as long as they're doing it on their property, which is gonna be about 25 feet off the center of the road. So people would see it, and they have control over that.
I mean, I've
So
been
that's-
places up in New Hampshire, they ran into big problems and they ended up going to the highway department, actually putting signs up, no parking, towaway zone.
Yeah.
And they ended up towing 15 cars one day and that cured that problem. So we had a lot of out-of-state cars, it was ridiculous. So.
The other thing I would just also want us to consider that if this was private land and if it was subdivided into wherever 20 lots or whatever, you had 20 driveways coming off of Basin Road, you'd have a lot more potential for accidents.
I can't imagine that there's gonna be more than 4 cars in this place. I mean, when I go to the rail trail, which is, you know, the big draw, how big is that draw compared to how many spots they have? I don't think it's gonna be a problem, but I think the resolution should be, if it becomes a problem, they volunteer to close the park.
And we've kind of, like, putting it in the resolution, and again, that's up for the planning board discussion, it takes a little bit of the voluntary nature out of it, and we're saying, if it's a problem, then you have to stop. It gives a little bit more enforcement power in terms of the
What would determine if it's a problem? What would be that trigger?
Well, the way it's kind of written is that if one car parks, it could potentially trigger.
If it makes a hazard in the main street, you know, and people are parking, they shouldn't be parking at Basin Road anyway. I mean.
I just,
I don't think you can plan for every possible.
No, I
thing
just
to go
want,
wrong.
if somebody goes to the building department, so they would like to go to and complain about it. I just want to make sure that the determination has a trigger for the building department to act on.
well, I mean, I think the purpose of this plan and to have the parking lot and to have the discussion that the board is having is that there won't be any cars parked along the road. I mean, like, as you said, they shouldn't be parked along the road anyway. So the way that I see it is that we've talked to the applicant about if they need a bigger lot or if it's sufficient, and they have said that it should be sufficient. And if this becomes a problem, then they'll have to change their parking lot and it will have to stop.
I also like to think about putting on where the nearest other trails are, so you can, you're in the hiking, you can just go.
Yeah.
I don't think, not that I don't that I disagree, but I kind of do. I don't think this is a big enough draw to make people want to park at the main road. No offense. No, I agree with it. I mean, if there's a big bunch of people there, it's something.
Yeah, I did have a question, because I know, Debbie, you had asked if there was a way of an expansion.
They still have.
Yeah.
Well, if they had, they still, they'd come back to us. If you love it, if people love it, you want to have 5 more spots, you have to come back and ask for it.
So you're okay moving forward with it,
Yeah.
even though it doesn't have a phase 2 yet? I just had, I remember that was a comment I had raised. Does the board have any other concerns or comments raised from the applicants or the public comment about trespassing or the noise or the head? Do you think that's been sufficiently addressed by the applicants?
I do.
I do. Let's read the resolution. Get this project into construction.
All right, so this is action items.
Yeah.
So this was circulated to the board.
It
correct?
was,
You had a chance
but
to read it?
your edits I don't think were, but I don't
Okay.
think they're
But you read it?
terribly substantial.
I read the edits for secret.
Right.
Oh, sorry.
So you have, this is up, oh, forget, yeah, so as you can see, I just added a little discussion here in the first paragraph, just explaining the parking lot. Saying that it's for 4 vehicles. Walking trail and parkings are located on vacant land that go through 3 properties, as is shown on the site plan map. And that's all I have to go through there. And number 7, I just added a discussion about, this was the first meeting, and it was explaining why it was a little bit of a delay between the first meeting and the next meeting that was on. It was based on the zoning law. The site plan map has to be prepared by an engineer, and there had been some other concerns that were raised by MPD to address and include in the site plan. So it was just a little bit of a delay from the first meeting to the next meeting that was on based on the requirements of the zoning law to the map that was prepared by an engineer. And I just had a little bit of discussion about the parking spaces from the zoning law. Per Paul Economos determination, there was no minimum parking area. It is based on planning board discretion, so I just provided that citation from Paul's determination letter. And Maggie, you'll add the public comments that were received tonight.
I will.
You put a little summary on there.
I will, and so if we look at number 16, I have, so obviously when I wrote this, I mean, I always check the certifieds that go out and I put how many, when.
And nothing has changed.
Right.
It is as-
So that check on Monday will come out, the same 5 still have not either picked it up or.
Yeah, we'll update the public comments that were received at tonight's meeting. And the only thing I had added was that there was regarding the water supply and sewage facility, I just added a statement saying that there's no bathrooms that are proposed here, and that Woodstock Land Conservancy has stated that there's not typically bathrooms on their trailheads. Well, we want to hurt that. And then I just added regarding the parking, I just stated again that the board had, considered the potential for an overflow area. But they indicated that the applicant indicated they're willing to close it if there's a problem in the future.
Okay. Megan, what? You said something today, which I don't remember.
So we sent our review memo out today. The only items that we had outstanding on there were for the board to determine the appropriate number of parking spaces, which is obviously we discussed. To discuss, we have a comment that the DEC is limiting tree clearing to November through March for the Indiana Act, which has been added to the conditions of the resolution. And then the only other comment that we had was on the actual site plan, they don't show grading, but they have a note that describes the grading. We don't have a problem with it, but if the board could just confirm if that's acceptable.
The grading of the site?
For the driveway.
It's got, so there's a description rather than a.
Got it.
Yeah, so you can see the 8% max with the
Got it.
arrow.
Got it.
Which for the nature of the site, we're not opposed to, but since it's not how you would typically see it.
Is there any one with a concern about that?
No. So just the note is okay.
So you're cool.
That's all my comments.
So,
That's like the recommendation.
Yeah.
Read it, yeah. Yeah.
perfect. Yes. So action items. Now therefore be resolved. Planning board approves the proposed creation of a 1 mile walking trail with an additional interpretive panel and associated parking lot as delineated on site plan submitted by Christopher Lucero, PE, dated October 3rd, 2024, revised November 4th, to address planning board comments about handicap parking space setback of parking lot. revised number 18, 2024 revised refund requirements and condition of approval with 5 stamped copies delivered signed by the applicant for planning requirement. Section 2, granting of such site plan approval shall be expressly contingent upon the following conditions being met. A, revised site plan which shows the following. 1, following shall be noted on the map if not already supplied. Data, fire district, school district, other special districts, easements, other map references and survey notes, proposed principal use of site, zoning district and zoning bulk requirement, provided the bulk requirement and provided policies. North arrow and engineering scale, legend existing proposed features is topography, flood hazard areas, if any, and proposed grade elevations, location of all existing and proposed site improvements, including drains, culverts, retaining walls, and fences, rock outcrop slopes, sex of 25%. Sample 3 3/4 inch by 3 3/4 inch trail sign showing 2 no parking signs on each side of the axis to avoid parking on the road and for a sample on the site plan. 4 an overflow parking
So I guess that will be taken out.
take out.
Take that, okay, number 3.
Well,
Oh, did it, the no parking signs on each,
no, the
That-
overflow part.
the overflow, oh, sorry, okay. Thank you.
The clearing will occur between November 1st and March 31st. Yeah, because of that? or-
No, that's when you can.
Oh, that's what you can do.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's a space in case the board has any additional comments that they'd like to add. We'll pick up next.
Okay. Parking, no rail trail.
We're here anything that between the vegetation during the construction versus a big walk. I know what we've done.
So that's maintaining the vegetation at the front of the access.
Yes, yeah, and in front of the parking lot by the electrical.
So no trail parking shall be permitted on Basin Road or Route 28A. The applicant shall inspect the parking area periodically to verify that there are no significant parking, that there are sufficient parking spaces for those accessing the trail. The applicant shall install signs to indicate other nearby hiking locations and parking should the parking lot be full capacity. If the public parks on Basin Road or Route 28. A, to access the trail including parking lot shall be closed and operations cease. Okay, then we come back to the January for expansion of the parking lot or additional parking. Lots. Okay.
Well, I had said if there's additional parking lots, there's also.
Okay. Enlargement is needed. Such enlargement or amendment will be subject to site plan review. Section 3, the granting of the site plan approval shall be expressly contingent upon the applicant and property owner's full payment to the town of Hurley of any and all fees and escrow deposits due in connection with this application and full compliance with chapter 19 escrow consult fees. Code section 4, the granting of this approval does not absolve the applicant and the property owner from having to secure any other required permits and or approvals. The motion to approve the application and resolution.
Yep, just as read and amended.
As read and amended, we have a motion. Okay, they both go up at the same time. So Mitch and Ray. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay, thank you. Is that it?
Thank you. So process wise, so
We're gonna open.
this. I obviously
No,
need
there's a
to,
schedule, everyone? Like that?
Estimated our opening date
In the summer.
in summer.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I obviously need to clean this up and fix it and whatnot, and then file it. And you will get a copy certified. And you will get, attached to that will be the existing site plan that I have marked draft. So that the changes you need to make for your, for the resolution, get them signed by whoever legally is in charge of signing site plans for the organization, and then reach out to me and we'll connect on a time to get them from the board will then sign them, and I will send you your signed copy as an addendum to add to the original. Okay, and when I do that, the building department gets a copy of it. So once you get it, or your final stuff, you should assume that the building department has it as well, and then you can step.
Okay, so I think we need to bring you an enlarged copy of the most recent, right?
No, wait till you get.
Before you say anything else,
Yep.
do we need the consultants at this point, or are they free to leave?
But they're separate.
No, but we can't pay for that. But, so go ahead. Maggie.
Okay, no, you don't need to bring me anything until you get your certified copy of the resolution. And then however long it takes you to make changes. And you're ready, you get them signed by, again, so signs them. But then reach out and,
Okay, well, let's move on to new this, regarding old business, I assume. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
On the trail. So we have no- We have no pre-complete application reviews, we have no withdrawals. We did our decision, we need to approve the minutes from September, October, and November.
so you have September and October. Yeah, the meetings were so long, it just kept getting pushed.
So just September and October, time.
Yeah.
All right, and we should make a motion in that. regard.
We're doing
Ray,
separately.
you make that motion. It doesn't make that. Unless there's changes or comments. Second to.
So that's for both September and October.
Yes.
Okay.
All in favor? Yes, thank you. Correspondence on the referral from the ZBA, action item. 2025 meeting calendar.
Oh, maybe Kim, they shouldn't. I did talk to Bonnie. Oh, Kim, you are still here. Other than fourth, is there a Monday and Wednesday that you and your John are available? Any week? Monday or Wednesday? Yeah. Well, because the fourth Thursday, the court is every Thursday. And it's sort of like, sometimes they change earlier, so it's.
Do you want me just to do another poll like we did for these last two meetings?
Yeah, because Wednesdays, I know third Wednesdays I have another municipal court. Mondays,
All right.
second and fourth Mondays, we have another municipal court.
Okay, so what we'll do, and we'll wait on the calendar. Okay, and so we'll wait on the calendar, that's all.
That's right, you would love that.
Well, it's just,
Okay.
it's becoming kind of an issue with her, and if it was possible, I
Okay.
wanted to raise it.
All right, so we're gonna work on that, offline. Staff resolution.
You might want to go to executive session.
Okay, did we want to come back to that then and have executive?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're moving that to end, consultant resolution. Is that also?
Yep.
So that whole section has to be.
Except. Oh, number 5. We have to finalize the new Casey workshop notes. I sent them out several times and got no comments. So we really have to give him a direction. I will email them to the entire board and I'm gonna put priority on it that.
And receipt and all that, yeah.
Yes, because I need to get him where he knows what he needs to submit to get back on the agenda.
Okay. We will work on that too. Local law referrals, none, next meeting, January 23rd, 2025.
At this point,
Unless
it changes.
unless the poll changes that. And then the pre-application meeting, none. Board time, any member questions or items? Yes.
So I was communicating with the county planner. I spoke with Mary Ann, board secretary, planning board secretary for the county, and she said that we did not receive as of last Wednesday, the resolution from the town.
Right, and I replied to her telling her that I would work on it too. I need to get from Tracy the sealed official resolution that the town board approved in order to send it to her. So I just haven't seen Tracy to connect with that.
Legislature is not meeting in January.
Okay, so,
If they don't get it in December, then it'll not gonna wait, February, maybe March.
so I will make sure to try to connect with Tracy in the next day or two.
I do the solution, item 4 about the member term thing, will we discuss that?
We're gonna discuss that.
Okay.
During
Okay, that's fine.
executive session. Anything else?
And when did you restore that? Had anything that we had to submit to the county?
Yeah.
Planning board?
All the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Since I've been here?
Oh,
no,
Oh,
so
Right
under,
after the.
yeah, but not since Debbie's been on. So under general municipal law, there are things that are required to be referred to the county. But the county planning board a couple of years ago, if you made an agreement with them, there's a lot of exemptions to that. And we just happened to be lucky that anything that would normally have needed to be referred to them has fallen under one of the exceptions. But yes, it gets, every application gets looked at for, is it, does it need to?
So my question is, about Duncan.
Where are they opening?
So, you know, I think, I'm sure they're gonna open soon, but for instance, have you seen how bright the signs are? The boards? You know, well, because I've seen them on at night one time, the menu boards.
I saw it tonight.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Whole corner
Like,
glows.
there's no way that complies with night sky.
It cannot comply.
So I know that we're not in enforcement, but I just wonder, so is that gonna be like the building department or something? Cause I, you know,
I would think so.
I mean, they're bright.
So, yes, but what you can do as a board is to ask formally, I can draft a letter for you all to approve based on tonight's discussion, asking the
so what I would,
to look into.
okay, so what I would suggest is once it does open, since it was such a problematic application, we should just review the resolution to see if we're happy with compliance and then submit an official, whatever, to the board about, so that
So
kind
this
of
is
just following up.
sometime next year.
Yes.
Could you send that resolution to us in an email?
I sure can.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just,
I think all of you.
just because I think it being such a public one, and there's still, I mean, you see, it's on social media, people still, and I'm driving, I was coming from Woodstock, and somebody was trying to get in, even though it wasn't open, it's gonna be a traffic nightmare. And so, I know there's nothing we can do about that, because that was the Department of Transportation. But I think we should, we should, we did have some limited power in basically drafting the resolution. And I think we should exercise that if possible. Within the limits of, I mean, they cut out our legs, but we can still crawl on our knees, okay?
So one of the things I can do, Dennis, is email Paul and find out if or when they got to see the vote.
Okay, we can't say anything.
Just so that we know.
Yeah, I think this is
That's
just,
like the one thing you can hold back.
this is a couple of months down the road probably, but we should make sure that they're complying with everything.
Can we make the fee take Dennis Christmas lights on his house? Oh, it glows.
Well, Santa has to be able to
I
see.
know, I
Leave
know.
Pat's alone, will you? We're crying out loud.
Okay, so anything else before we go into executive session? Okay, so motion to go into executive session. Rich and then Debbie, all in favor? Aye. Have a good night, Diana. All right.
All right, hold on. I hope you did.
Executive session.
Yeah, so was that shut off now?
I'd be out, will turn you off in a minute, so I get to it. and try to watch it.
All right, so, I believe Ray would like to make a motion.
Make a motion, come out of executive session.
Mitchell seconded it. All in favor? Unanimous? Okay.
And you just need to put when decisions were made.
And no decisions were made during the executive session. We'll be voting on 5 resolutions, which they have to be reworded in some way, but
Which, right, that's, I mean, when I write these, they're just to have words there, so. They don't have to, you can change them however you want.
We have to go through the resolutions, or can we just make a motion?
well.
You
no,
can make a motion, but if there's anything
You've
that,
all read online.
Yeah,
So-
we have, and you're
so-
going to read it to us again.
no, so unless you feel like there's something that
So
had
anyway,
come out. or
Do we want to
needs be-
change anything on the resolution regarding
No,
coming next?
I don't.
Oh, all right, yeah.
All right, so, motion to approve, the appointment of Maggie Kosar. Colin, sorry.
I'm the co-star.
You're Kosar. Kosar. Okay, Mitchell and second, Ray, all in favor?
All right.
Aye. Opposed? No abstentions, okay. So you're 1 opposed and no abstentions. All right, next one. Granto and Lyons. I didn't get,
No, you didn't,
you had them all there.
yeah, you just gotta find it.
Or, IDP, or we don't have to do that in order. You okay, Dylan?
Yeah, I'm fine. We're long. Yeah.
I'll take any.
Elsie talking now?
Nelson Pope, so motion to approve, Nelson Pope Voorhees as our planner. And, specifically Ms. Branson or Ms. Zapatowski.
Make that motion.
All in favor? Oh, wait, Mitchell seconded it. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? I think that was unanimous, right? Did you raise your hand?
I raised my hand.
Yeah, so that's unanimous. Okay, so that's the next one.
Just, oh yeah, that's Renee Larios and Pete.
Oh, then there's another one, Renee Mario.
Yeah.
As our,
And, and,
as,
and Pete, because if we end up with another cell tower, Pete's the only one that can do it.
right. So that Mitchell, seconded by Ray, all in favor?
Right.
Unanimous, okay.
No.
Of course.
Just to be spicy.
This one
This
is
is,
Grant Lyon.
okay, and then that's right.
So, Department of Grant Lyons as our attorney for the planning board for the coming year.
So we already voted on that.
No, we just did MVP. Debbie and Ray for a second. All in favor? Aye, unanimous. Okay, this is Ray.
Ray as an alternate.
Oh, and remember I suggested support, we word this that we recommend,
You're right, I didn't make that change.
okay, so the only change is that regularly, the planning board, it was motioned by X and seconded by Y to ask the town board to,
Or recommend that the town board.
okay, recommend the town board reappoint
Yes,
alternate number 1.
and it would be, you're one and you've been on a 1-year cycle. And
But you're
you're
gonna be on a-
2 and you're on a 2-year cycle.
Right.
So I just kept it that way because it seemed logical. Otherwise, next year,
Oh, why?
I was trying to think it through.
No,
So
no, it's supposed to be 2 years. It's
it was the first time that they were appointed, and Janet, and Ray, this was your first year?
Right, so, but Janet
So-
was appointed for 2 years, so
And
hers
Ray was-
doesn't expire till next
Right,
year.
and Ray was appointed for one, so you have alternating, so Ray should be 2 years.
He should go too.
Okay,
Yeah, so let's change.
Right.
So let's-
okay, right, yeah, that's it, that's what,
Good catch, so
Okay.
2 years.
that's,
All right, thank you, everyone. So,
Okay,
the
so-
person make the vote.
the motion.
A motion. Next,
I'll second that.
Dennis, all in favor? Aye. You're not gonna vote, you're gonna
Does anybody
abstain?
want to abstain?
Ray's abstaining.
No, we don't have a quorum, right? Do we have?
Yeah, we do.
It's not a quorum. We have to warn it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll vote myself, yeah.
Oh, okay, then forget it, it's unanimous.
You're voting for yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now this next one, we have to be. Where's that?
Okay, so this is your 7-year term.
Okay. So, let me see, it says, it doesn't say anything about chair, right? No, it doesn't say anything about chair. The chair will be chosen by the town board at the January.
Right, but the
So
planning
this
board
is-
can make the recommendation.
So,
Oh, wait, so, but what about your term?
That his term is also.
so all this resolution is about is reappointing me to the planning board for
As a
another
member,
7-year
for
term.
another 7 years.
Which they can and cannot accept.
They may or may not.
Right, right. Okay, so we vote on that or
So, yeah,
something?
so a motion,
I'll make that motion.
Ray, Mitch,
No,
and
but give it them.
give it to Mitch. All in favor? Okay,
You vote for
and
yourself?
one opposed, yeah. Yes, I can. Okay, and that's it.
No, no, because
What is the Lucchese thing? Was that something you want us to do? Is that what it says, Lucchese?
What about Lucchese?
Why do I?
That's a workshop.
no, yeah, that was,
We just have to review whatever is sent out.
Oh. You send it again, Matt?
She is,
I
she's gonna
will.
resend it.
and I'm gonna send it to everybody, not just the people that were there. And I mean, we did make some, okay, so this is you as chair.
Okay, well,
You don't vote on
We
that.
don't vote.
No, but you can make
you wanna,
recommendations.
you wanna vote on recommending this chair? I don't, at this point, I'm not carrying away.
I don't think it's gonna carry any weight anyway.
Yeah, but I'd make a motion that I'll just put a motion for it.
Okay, so,
Send that
there's
resolution.
motion and seconded to recommend the town board reappointment. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So we have a motion in a second.
I can't imagine anybody else wanting
Okay,
to.
so your second, who's first? Ray.
Ray
Okay,
Ray was
Ray.
first, Mitch was second.
Okay, and I'll abstain on this one. Right, all right, no, we need 4 votes, though.
Right.
Still have four.
We-
We
Yeah, all
have
right.
4, we have 5 right here.
Okay, so all in favor? Or opposed? Abstain. One.
One nay, one abstain. So you have Brandon Lyons, Nelson Pope, you Peak. Let me just make sure you have that.
Great. I will serve the chair.
Brandon
But
Lyons.
I think several of you,
Brandon Lyons got that, yes,
several of you would be very good as chair.
Brandon Lyons got that.
Glad to help.
Vanilla Nara lives in Peak. And PB.
And PB.
I always screw it up.
I was doing it too.
And VP.
Yeah, me too.
And me.
Because of the health insurance.
Thank you.
No, that could be
It's MVP.
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 So I go MVP. And so, yeah.
Mohawk Valley physician.
Right. So, the only other thing that, I need one person to stay and sign Maverick and, Loud maps. Peter signed them before the meeting, but they need a member to sign them as well.
Or unless somebody else comes back tomorrow.
I'll do it.
Okay, so as far as finalizing the KSA workshop, after you discuss it.
Well, sort of. So just so you know, during the workshop meeting, it was discovered that they had sent Bonnie the wrong map. So a lot of her comments and a lot of why she had such strong concerns was because things weren't matching what the map said. So when we met during the workshop meeting, a lot of things got cleared up, and there's still some things we're not sure if he still needs to get actual Board of Health. That's one of the things that's on the list. But it's a 5-lot subdivision. No. Yeah, no, that's the other one. I think, yeah.
Yeah, 5 lots.
5 lots.
5 lots and 2 of them are one that are not cleared title yet. And if they did clear title, because that's what's on the
All right. I remember that.
engineer's comments on the plat plan.
Yep.
Right? And just so you know, my wife was the attorney for Barnwood Associates
Okay.
before they came back this time as Chase, some other LLC.
Yeah, no, that's still him, same one, same one. He is Barnwood. He is Barnwood. It's the same
They
thing.
just changed the name.
You remember Barnwood?
Yeah,
They did do a subdivision before you a couple of years ago. And so there's 2 different roads, there's 2 different zoning districts. It's not gonna be a completely easy thing. So I really want to make sure he's in as best a direction as he can to avoid occurring.
That could be a phone call. Yeah, here.
Now, I'm gonna email it to you guys. I'm gonna email what I put together as my notes from the meeting and what Bonnie, John,
So Bonnie's reapplying?
she says we did that after the meeting, and we said, no, we never finalized it. So, I need to make sure that.
So the only thing that most of the people here can do is to look and see if they see anything that doesn't make sense.
Right.
Because otherwise it's really up to Bonnie and the attorneys to say this looks like we can go forward.
That if they submit that as a plat, as a package, we can actually start, because it is gonna be a major subdivision, because Hurley's is only 3 lots. So as you hit that 3rd lot, it's a major subdivision, which is a lot of our problem and a lot of why things end up longer and why lot line adjustments end up with subdivisions. Most towns you could do 4 lots, you could do the 5th lot. But that's here or there, that's up to the town board to change. So I'll also email the map with the notes so that you can kind of just look at the notes, look at the map and say to yourself, okay, if we get this as a package with this map, then we feel like we can move forward. Or we want to also see this before he comes back so that it's not. Okay?
Just so you know, don't feel bad. The original person that did Barnwood Associates spent over $20,000 in fees.
Yep.
So when you do a major subdivision like this,
You usually have to pay for it.
yeah, and by the way, when we did it back then, we had, planners, but it's part of it every year.
Oh,
We had an attorney at the meeting either.
No.
We didn't have attorneys then. Alan was the.
Yeah.
Alan
Soren,
Yeah,
right?
Sorensen.
Yeah.
Also keep in mind, I know it's in the, I've been putting them off partly because you do have a 5-lot subdivision on VOP coming. I wanted to wait and start him in the new, with the final new application, which I'm very close to. Just because I felt like continuity wise, I didn't know where staffing on the, I didn't know where any of it was. Fresh with the people that will see it.
And when we do our major subdivision applications, we're gonna ask for escrow that's appropriate for the side of the project.
Yes, I don't know what the town board's gonna do for actual fees, but I have, what Peter and I put together and what it suggests is, instead of just $500 initially, that each application has a different amount based on what I've now seen is logical, like a major subdivision. You You need $800 to $1,000 to start. I mean, 5 lots on field table.
If you're giving 5 lots, you're gonna $4,000. I mean, there's cost good business, and I think $1,000 is too low for a side.
Whatever, I don't remember what I put, but I can also send that out to you. You guys can make other
Let's
suggestions.
say Bob Diamante spent $850 just for a simple lot line revision. I was on the board, I was like, what? $850.
I will tell you that
So-
this town board is just sensitive to residents having to pay a lot, and I think that there's a balance in, you know, when you have a local person who just wants to do a simple outline adjustment versus a developer that's gonna do 5
That's
lots.
out of our hands. Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah.
Anything else before we adjourn?
No, just the max.
All right, well, that's the action. All right, so move to adjourn. Okay. I'm gonna say Debbie. All in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you all. Have a good day. Happy
Happy holidays. and
Oh,
see
so
ya.
come in my stores. On your side, you're gonna sign up. You can't sign on. Yes, you can. Give us some money about your. Over drinks? Okay.
Happy holidays, everybody.
You too.
Too.